The specter of Richard Cottingham, the notorious torso killer, continues to haunt the corridors of criminal justice. This aging monster, already condemned for a string of horrific murders, has shocked the world once more. From the depths of his prison cell, Cottingham has confessed to slaying 5 more innocent women. These crimes, buried in the past for decades, have resurfaced with chilling details, reminding us of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of humanity. This delves into the labyrinth of Cottingham's crimes, examining his latest confessions and their profound impact. We will explore the lives tragically cut short, the tireless efforts of law enforcement to bring closure to grieving families, and the unsettling reality that some wounds never truly heal. Cottingham's recent admissions offer a chilling glimpse into the mind of a predator who operated with impunity for years. They underscore the importance of persistent investigation, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As we grapple with the weight of these revelations, one thing is certain. Richard Cottingham's reign of terror may be over, but his victims will never be forgotten. Richard Cottingham, a name synonymous with depravity, has haunted the nightmares of law enforcement and the public alike for decades. Born in 1946, Cottingham's outward appearance as an unassuming family man masked a sinister secret, a thirst for violence and a chilling disregard for human life. His crimes, marked by brutality and a horrifying signature, terrorized the New York City area throughout the 1960s and 1970s. Cottingham's reign of terror began in 1967, culminating in a string of murders that shocked even the most hardened investigators. His modus operandi often involved luring young women, often sex workers, to motels or secluded locations. There, he would overpower them, subjecting them to unimaginable horrors before ending their lives. His gruesome calling card, the mutilation and dismemberment of his victims, earned him the chilling moniker, the Torso Killer. Cottingham's crimes were not merely acts of violence, they were calculated displays of power and control intended to inflict maximum terror and dehumanize his victims. For years, Cottingham operated under a shroud of anonymity, his true nature hidden behind a facade of normalcy. It wasn't until 1980, when a would-be victim bravely fought back and alerted authorities, that the net finally closed in. The arrest of Richard Cottingham brought an end to his reign of terror, but the scars he left on society ran deep. Decades after Richard Cottingham's arrest, the echoes of his crimes continue to reverberate. In a stunning development, Cottingham has confessed to 5 additional murders, breathing new life into cold cases. These confessions have brought a mix of anguish and hope to the victims' families. The names of these women are now etched into the grim tapestry of Cottingham's crimes. Diane Cusick, Beth Heinz, Laverne Moye, Sheila Heiman, and Maria Emerita Rosado Nieves. Each name represents a life tragically cut short, a future stolen by a predator's hand. Their stories serve as a stark reminder that the pursuit of justice must never falter. The confessions of Richard Cottingham, while shocking, were not the result of a sudden pang of conscience. Instead, they were extracted through the relentless pursuit of justice, aided by a powerful tool that has revolutionized criminal investigation DNA technology. Decades after these murders sent shockwaves through communities, it was the silent witness left behind at the crime scenes that finally shattered the wall of secrecy surrounding Cottingham's crimes. In the intervening years since Cottingham's initial arrest, forensic science had advanced in leaps and bounds. DNA profiling, once a nascent technology, had matured into a cornerstone of criminal investigation, capable of linking perpetrators to crime scenes with unprecedented accuracy. Investigators, armed with this powerful new tool, revisited the cold cases that had long haunted them. They carefully examined old evidence, hoping to find a trace of the killer that had eluded them for years. Their persistence paid off. In a stunning breakthrough, DNA evidence recovered from one of the newly attributed victims matched Richard Cottingham's profile. This irrefutable link cracked open the door to solving these cold cases, breathing new life into investigations that had long gone cold. The confessions of Richard Cottingham, while providing long-awaited answers, have also ripped open old wounds for the families of his victims. For decades, these families have grappled with unimaginable loss, their grief compounded by the absence of answers and the knowledge that their loved one's killer remained at large. The news of Cottingham's confessions has brought a torrent of emotions: shock, anger, a profound sense of sadness, and a glimmer of hope for closure. Families who have lived under the shadow of these unsolved murders for years are now forced to confront the painful reality of their loved one's final moments. The pain of losing a loved one to violence is immeasurable, but the trauma is compounded when the perpetrator remains unknown, a faceless monster haunting their thoughts. The families of Cottingham's victims have endured this agonizing limbo for decades, their lives forever altered by his heinous acts. For some, the confessions offer a sense of relief, a confirmation of their long-held suspicions and a path towards some semblance of closure. Knowing that their loved one's killer has been brought to justice even after all these years brings a measure of solace. However, it is a bittersweet victory, a reminder of the life stolen and the future forever altered. Justice, however belated. The wheels of justice may grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. Decades after Richard Cottingham's reign of terror, he found himself back in a courtroom, confronted with the weight of his actions and the shattered lives he left in his wake. The charges against him, stemming from his recent confessions, painted a chilling picture of a predator who operated with impunity. Cottingham, now a frail figure confined to a wheelchair, faced a new generation of prosecutors and investigators determined to hold him accountable for his crimes. The courtroom became a battleground of emotions, where the families of victims came face to face with the man who had shattered their lives. Despite the passage of time, the evidence against Cottingham remained damning. DNA evidence, once a futuristic concept, now stood as a silent witness, linking him to the murders with irrefutable certainty. Prosecutors presented a compelling case, methodically laying out the evidence and highlighting the brutality of Cottingham's crimes. In the end, Cottingham, faced with the overwhelming evidence against him, entered into a plea deal, sparing himself the death penalty but ensuring that he would spend the rest of his days behind bars. The plea deal, while a difficult pill to swallow for some, guaranteed that Cottingham would be held accountable for his actions, providing a measure of justice for the victims and their families. A legacy of pain. Richard Cottingham, one of America's most prolific serial killers, has left an indelible mark on society. His legacy is one of pain, loss, and a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. Cottingham's confessions offer closure but also force us to confront the enduring impact of violence. They remind us that the pursuit of justice is a marathon, not a sprint. The case highlights the critical role of forensic science in solving crimes. Advancements in DNA technology have been a game-changer for investigators. Let us remember the victims, their families, and the tireless efforts of law enforcement. May their stories remind us that the human spirit can endure and the pursuit of truth must never waver.